My next interview takes us into the world of polygamy. The child's 13th child to the third wife of a man who had 33 children, who at 9 months old was beaten because she cried, to this fierce warrior whose strength to serve and bring others forward with her healing really truly is an amazing, fun, and inspirational story as we get to meet Shauna Cuch. Well, I have Shauna Cuch with me, author of Big Souls, Big Promises. That in itself is an amazing title. So let's get into this right now. Shauna, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. I'm doing great.
So, okay, you, let's see, again, came from a childhood of 12 siblings. You were the 10th of
33.
10 girls, right?
Yep.
And the way of, if a child was looking for attention, the way to squelch that was to beat them in your house. Is that what happened to you?
Yes. Yes. My meeting started young because I think I came to disrupt the pattern. And that was what my dad did. If my mom, if we got out of hand, then my mom would turn us over to our dad, maybe when we're about 2, but mine started at 9 months. And the more he beat me, the louder I cried. My sister said, you had black and blue hand marks all over your body. And it is just something that this was an ongoing thing. And then I was confined to a crib because in my mom's eyes, I'm spoiled if I'm crying. So it's been a lot of wonderful discovery to uncover all that, because I had completely shut it out. I didn't remember anything about my childhood. So I was in my 60s before I discovered that I had this split personality that was running part of my life. And every time I had any kind of success, I self-sabotaged that, because you can only go so high with a vibration of shame, blame, guilt, fear. You know, the vibration of shame is 25. Vibration of mother is 565. So it's hard to be able to retain any kind of wealth or any kind of anything like that when you have this hidden fear and shame in your body that is self-sabotaging. And I is like, I just didn't love myself and I didn't know it. I thought highly of myself. Oh, yeah.
So with we're going to throw a little more in there because your story is so fascinating, and where you've taken it to really stand for others is really the beauty and the strength in who you are. But you were also, your family was your dad and your mom, and your mom was the third wife. And she had 13 children at one time. She was the third wife, the youngest third wife. And your dad had, was it 29 or 39 children?
He had 33 children. I was the 29th of 33. And of course, there's really no love available. It's scarcity. You're born in pure scarcity. No food, no love, no safety, no, all those things. And then my dad was one of several men that were put in prison for polygamy back then. And so that was an interesting thing to have my dad in prison.
So even with what, and it's funny how we have our norms and what norms we decide to instill as the standard, that they had a man that had all these children, and the way to rectify that was to take him away from his children.
Yeah, that's why the public outcry was huge, because there were all these men with these huge families, and guess what? Now the state's taking care of them and the men are in prison. That didn't make sense at all. So that's why they don't jail them anymore. Now they just put them in jail if there's some kind of abuse, child abuse, or marrying young, and which that didn't happen in the inner circle that I was in. But yeah, it was hard on my mother. She never got to go visit him in jail or anything. They wouldn't let the second wives go see him, so she was 4 years without even seeing him, and she was afraid to go on welfare because she was afraid her kids would be taken from her. So it was a lot of scarcity and growing up. But
So
it's
even with being in committed relationship, she was relegated to second status
yeah,
because she was not equally the first wife.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
Oh, so okay, so we're gonna move forward a little bit here. So you were rebel. You were rebel right from the start. You were you got married at 16 because 16 was the okay, you need to wait till you're 16, but you really wanted to get married earlier than that because you wanted to get the hell out of there, right?
Yeah. Well, I was told I couldn't get married till I was 17. And I'm like, okay, I wanted to get out and be my own. I was raising myself anyway. I was on my own. I planned my own wedding. I I did everything. I raised myself. So yeah, it was time to go, time to get out.
Okay. And within that, then you married one man that was a part of the community and one man outside of the community too. Lean into that a little bit about how and did you stay? Did you stay in connection with your family?
My siblings, you mean? I see him once in a while. I go to weddings, funerals. I see him once in a while. Um, I am so busy with my healing work. I don't have, and I have my own family. I've got 11 children, and so that's where my focus is my healing work and my own children. But yeah, it's a different community. The polygamous community is.
And it's still one that we want to look in because it's still taboo and not norm. And at the same time, there's just such curiosity about it.
Yeah.
And so it's just fascinating. And there's so that the childhood that you came through, that you were your strength. And when we're going to stand in your strength because it consistently showed through with who you are, what you did, and in the book, and also your generosity in serving others. And and we'll get into the healing, whether it was healing people through your intuition and horses and bringing them forth, and then that amazing energy that animals just naturally give us as one of the gifts on this earth. But then you went further. And can you tell us about your healing and your progression, and then what's this generational healing or this the light, and also what is that behind you? So let's get into that. I definitely want to hear
Okay.
you.
Yeah. So I first I was widowed at 42. So the first thing I did was go into a catering business, because I knew how to cook. Was very successful at that. And then as soon as I just about got my hands on some amazing success, then it all fell apart. I lost everything. And I ended up um, going to meeting my husband was Native American, and he was so I met him, and we ended up my son built us a house out on the reservation, and there were horses there, And so I ended up connecting with the horses and their ability to heal and getting trained. And I started doing that. And then I heard about this horse symposium, and I heard these two people, this couple from Australia talking about constellations. And it's one of those things that just call to your soul. It's like, okay, I'm supposed to be there.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Power of the Tribe Network and Rising Star Book Club. This afternoon, I have Jennifer Stowell here with the author of Driven to Serve, Respect from Those Called to Serve in Public Service in Uncertain Times. So Jennifer, welcome to the show, and good to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and thank you for having me.
Okay, so first of all, I know that the book, a big piece of the book.
That was actually the name we used temporarily until I was able to
And I don't know why. And I'm doing at this time, I'm doing every kind of healing possible to get along with this man that had all this trauma. He's Ute, and he's very traumatized, and I won't go into that detail, but I had attracted him in my life because I had trauma and didn't know it. And so this unlovable part of me kept coming up. So I went to this horse symposium, and I experienced a healing that impacted my life so deeply, because he was always criticizing me because he had so much self-loathing himself. And so I was always defending myself or trying to fix myself. And after this healing, and this facilitator put me and my mother and my dad, she sat me in a chair, she brought the horse over, and she said, "This horse is you as a baby." And immediately the horse started nibbling on my breast, and I just kind of being there, and I thought he was after my necklace. And then I realized, oh yeah, it started when I wanted to nurse, and my mom decided to wean me because she found out she's pregnant. So she turned me over to my dad rather than just, do whatever you do to wean. It was like, okay, shut her
You're
down.
off.
Yeah, you're done. So that was my story. I'm unlovable. And
Wait, and you were what? Were you like 9 months?
9 months, yeah.
Okay. You were an
And
infant.
but I did come in as a big soul. I mean, I just knew things. My sister said nobody wanted to hear a wise little girl. You were always so wise, you know. And anyway, when after that healing with my dad, and when we did the healing that you do in the circle in the constellations, and she said, "You want to give her a hug," the facilitator, and he said, "I do. I want to hug her, but what's bouncing all over my body is I just need to show her to give her respect." And something just changed in me because he had never shown me that respect. And it did something in me. In fact, I'm getting chills right now of what it shifted in me. So when I went home to my husband, who criticized me because I was gone and he felt abandoned, so he reacted by criticism. And I said, "Thank you for sharing. I realize I've created you fixing me, but I don't need fixing. All I need from you is respect." And his jaw just dropped. He was like, "What just happened?" Suddenly he wasn't able to control me through this criticism.
We teach people the way that we want to be treated. And
Exactly.
sometimes we get to unteach them.
And that's the beautiful part. Go ahead.
Well, so what I really want to, so I read the book. So can you break down what that looks like, the pieces of it? Walk us through someone that would go through this generational purge, cleanse, forgiveness, opening space. What does that look like?
Okay, so according to science, now this is not a woo-woo. Now this harp behind me, it's a crystal harp, and it's a high vibration. So everything's about vibration. We are all about vibration. And if our bodies are dense, and if we've got a lot of blame, shame, and guilt, then we have a low vibration. And the work that we're doing is to bring the light into the shadow in our bodies and raise the vibration so that we can get out of this third dimension density and shift where the earth is shifting now. So what I do, what the constellations are, is we only know 5% of who we are, and the other 95%, according to science, is in our energy field, and we have no idea what's going on. And it's actually shadow driving our bus, I call it, because it was driving mine. It was causing me to work hard for love and money, and then lose it as soon as I get my hands on it. And so what happened is what you get to discover what's in your field, in your energy field, causing you to work so hard at life when we don't need to. And usually we're resisting our own self by resisting our shadow. So our shadow is made up of ancestral baggage. Like the scientists said, that if your ancestors die, they don't take their negative baggage with them. It stays in your family system that you chose to be in. The biggest one that's most impactful in your life is your parental imprints. What you see in your parents, in anything, any kind of relationship, anything that you grew up with is so ingrained, it's so imprinted in your DNA that we deal with that. That's the first thing I deal with is your parental imprints, because you bring all that dysfunction into your relationships, like it or not. As much as you say, I'm never going to do that, I'm never going to be that way, that's exactly what you end up creating, somebody just like that, the very thing you were judging. We also, in that energy field is your limiting beliefs that keep you hitting the ceiling every time you try to do anything beyond your patterns that you have been running. And it's also childhood trauma, shame, blame, and guilt. All those things are in that 95%. So what we do in family constellations, and it's not about the stars, it's about being connected. And it's so scientific in quantum, in the quantum field, but it's very surprising to people when they sit next to this chair, next to me in this chair. I put them through a process. We find out what it is that they would like to shift in their life. And sometimes they don't even know. They don't have to know.
Yeah,
the fact is you do have 95% shadow. You have no idea what's there, and your life would be so much easier if it was transmuted. And that's what we can do by, the scientists say, by being an observer with a strong intention, you can transmute or alter the energy. So what you're doing is you're sitting in the chair, and I put your energy field in the circle, and you're asking different representatives. We have at least 10 people in the circle. You pick those representatives and you put their names by these, whatever I list for you to put in the circle. And then the magic happens, because then they start channeling whatever they're representing. They'll channel the energy of it. Now they're not taking on a
Couldn't you
spirit.
also call that sourcing? That they're sourcing for you, and then the energy naturally brings what you will to it, that person who's willing it?
Yeah, we go through a process. First, what has to happen is the untruth gets to come out, to be witnessed. What somebody's experienced, their trauma, their voice that's never been heard. Usually, most often, what I've learned is we pass on the things that we haven't dealt with.
Yeah.
And most of us don't even know it's there, and we just go through life as if we don't have a shadow. And we become very self-righteous about everything. And so we pass on this this shadow stuff, and because we resist it, it becomes more powerful than our light. Because you never have shadow more powerful than your light. But when you resist it, you are giving it power, because what you resist persists, right?
What you
We all
resist
know that.
persists. Yes, we do. Yeah.
And so the shadow is running your life, because you're constantly, it's like fighting this great big punching bag, this one of those long punching bags, and you're constantly fighting with that. Everything you do, you're sitting there fighting this bag that doesn't even move or go anywhere. And that's what it is to fight shadow. And sometimes that bag swings around and hits you in the butt, you know. That's a self-sabotage I experienced till I finally had to wake up to what is going on. Why is it that I have to work so hard for money and love, and then I can't get my hands on it? And so it's pretty exciting now, because my life is, I'm living my dream. I mean, I am living my dream, helping people change their lives just by sitting in that circle and witnessing their shadow and seeing that you lose judgment. And shadow is not bad. Shadow is we chose to come in this polarization so that we could become strong in these areas. And now with the shift in the new density, the fourth density, it's the heart chakra. Now everything that used to lie dormant is being created outside of ourselves. And so people's relationships are blowing up because they're codependent, independent, those kinds of relationships that used to work, but they're based on control. Well, now we're in this beautiful energy of love, and you
Are we
cannot.
talking about the age of Aquarius?
Yeah, well, it's
Okay.
yes, it's called the age of Aquarius, but the earth has shifted, and we are all going to continue to experience change coming, because we have shifted into a new energy. And so getting our body, getting this shadow, bringing light, love, and truth to the shadow that we hold within our body is the way to your divine. That is the pathway to your divine, because it's discovering this other part of you. Our body is a third density, and our spirit is pure love. And so it's having that spirit to override all this shame, blame, and guilt by bringing love, truth, and light to those parts of us that are unseen and unheard, because we have so much shame and guilt around them, right?
So let me, because we talked earlier that the training and leadership that I have experienced with gratitude was also very exponential, and a lot of that aligns. And so with what you're saying is that through the facing of one's generational past, i.e. our parents, that when you are able to not go around, but go through those feelings, the stories that we hold around them. And there are stories, they may not have any accuracy, but there are stories that we've carried with them. When you unravel those and face and go through and forgive, that's where it opens up for the light and love to come through.
Absolutely. It's and some of us, we have such a hard time forgiving, but we don't realize we're the creator. We're the creator of these
That's
things
so
in our
profound.
lives. Yeah. So discovering the beauty of what our parents did to us. And it was such a gift. How could I be who I am today if I had not suffered that abuse?
Well, the other is that in the other, if you stand in fourth responsibility, that in actuality, we willed it all. And everything
Absolutely.
we are is exactly where we are.
Yes, because what can we do about changing somebody else? What can we do about life coming at us? It's disempowering. So the most beautiful thing in life is that we can actually own what we created, even though it caused us suffering. But once we own it, guess what? We realize how powerful we are as a creator, right? And now
And
we
it's
can shift
absolute
it.
freedom.
Yes,
Yeah.
freedom. Love that.
I'm really glad so the book is very powerful. The story is amazing. I mean, you have to know you're an engaging storyteller, and your story is just, again, the journey that you will to be here now, helping and supporting others. So where can they find you? What's next? And when's the memoir coming out?
Well, yes, I'm writing a full story of my many lives growing up, and I actually had 4 different husbands. And but my memoir will be The Day I Bent My Dark Side, The Pathway to My Divine. But my book right now, Big Souls Make Big Promises, is on Amazon, and you can get on my website, journeyintotheheart.net. And that's an exciting place to be on my website, because I have a lot of things there. I give shadow classes so people can understand their shadow more. It's so important to understand your shadow and how to transcend it. So we talk about the expression, the experimentation, the integration, and the transcendence, and how it shifts your life so powerfully. And then I have this amazing opportunity to deal with all your deal with some deep ancestral work. And it's a course called Relationship Alchemy. And it is really thorough. It's a life changer. I love it because when you go in, you are coming in one place in your life. And when you're done, you're in a completely different place, completely shifted, because you have changed. You have brought so much love and light and truth to your shadow. And now you are driving your bus. Yeah.
Okay, so again, the website, because I've been on there and there's so much there. It's also, you do retreats, you also bring people forward and do things as we get back to being face to face.
Yes. I do give workshops. I travel all over and do workshops. If you have 10 people in a group and you have commitments for the constellations, then I will travel to your state or wherever it is, and we can talk about that. So I do constellation workshops where we work on the parental imprints and the other things like that. My website is journeyintotheheart.net. And I got that name in the circle, because the circle, you can always find out things about your business, because everything's energy first, right?
Yeah.
Everything starts at energy. So when you create the energy in the circle to be how you want, then it shows up physically. So if you look at some of those testimonials, that I've done even law cases where somebody's been bringing somebody harm through the law courts, and they actually do constellations mainstream in 30 countries, and in Mexico they have constellations in the court system for divorce mitigation constellation. It's pretty cool.
I love that. Okay, big souls, big promises.
Big souls make big promises.
Big souls make big promises. And again, it's Shauna Cuch, and the link to the website is there. Get the book. And thank you for coming on today.